Thank you. Yeah, I think leave and rejoin, maybe that'll work. Okay, so so I'm recording now. So the key is here is these are some form of adjectives.
So can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, now.
Okay. So what we're saying is covering adjectives in this lesson. We're saying these are some form of adjectives. Fa'ilun. So on this we have sadikun, adilun, jahilun, which means upright, just, ignorant. Fa'ilun is another form which we done, before, like kabirun, kathirun, sa'idun. Sa'idun means happy. It's a new word. Or qalilun. And then the key, one of the other form was fa'ulun. We said this demonstrates or denotes intensity. So, for example, the word jahilun, they come from the same root, jim ha and lam, which means to be ignorant. But what's the difference? Jahilun is a normal scale, which means ignorant, just ignorant. But jahulun indicates intensity. It means very ignorant, not just ignorant, very ignorant. Same with kasulun. It means very lazy. So words on this scale would mean intensity, very lazy, very ignorant, and so forth. And then fa'lanu is another scale, which is these are diptones because it has one haraka, one vowel, even though it doesn't have alif lam. So ghadbanu, for example. And then we said fa'alun is the scale for professions, occupations, and these words take signed plurals, like khabbazun means baker. If you want to say plural, khabbazuna in nominative, khayyatun khayyatuna. Or if you want to say feminine, you say khayyatatun, khabbazatun. And then we said that now what we're doing now is very essential, so we need to pay focus because this is the key part of the lesson. The next 10 minutes or so. So we're saying another common form of adjective expressing the meaning of the active. So this scale, we have new scale, af'alu. Af'alu. So alif the additional, the fa, ain, and lam are the root letters. And this scale we have colors and defects. Okay, so this is for masculine. So for example, aswadu, sin, waw, and dal are the root letters. Alif is the additional. It means black. Abiyadu, white. Baya and dal are like root letters. Ahmaru, red. Azraku, blue. Akhdaru, green. Asfaru, yellow. Atrashu means deaf. Akhrasu, it should be akhrasu. PDF is not very clear. A'ma is blind. Because we can't say a'ma you, because this when this happens, we can't put dhamma on the ya, a'ma you. It's just for written purposes, so it becomes a'ma. Between blind, a'raju means lame. That's for masculine. For feminine, we have the scale fa'la'u. Fa'la'u. So we're just adding a'u at the end. Fa'la'u. So aswadu becomes sawda'u. Sawda'u. So alif and hamza at the end, sawda'u.
How
Bayda'u.
color? How color can have a feminine?
G? Yes?
How the color can have a feminine gender?
So if you understand, if using colors as adjectives and you are referring and the noun is feminine, then it can be feminine that way.
Oh.
So if you want to say, I don't know, if you want to say, if you say a feminine word, if you want to say white something and you have a feminine word, I can't even think of an example. Let's use the question as example. So So for example, you know, in actually in Morocco, there's a city. They call it Blue City because all this is
All the
it's
houses are painted blue.
yes. So if you say Al Medina Al Medina too, if you use Al Medina too, or you want to say okay Hazihi, this is Blue City. You say Hazihi
Hadi
Madinatun
Madinatu Zarqaw.
Madinatun, yeah,
Zarqaw.
Zarqaw, yes. It's here Zarqau feminine because it's adjective of Medina too because Medina is feminine. So that's how the feminine is. That's why we need the
But
feminine.
why we are not putting simply the Tamar Ruta, and why this is a different, like altogether different thing for feminine?
It's because that's the way it works. So for color and defects, we can't just use Tamarbuta. So like it just does. That's the way it works. We just have to learn, you know, because all the words which are for color and defects and come on this scale, af'alu, this feminine has to be fa'la'u. We can't just put Tamarbuta. Tamarbuta works for most of the nouns, but as we cover new rules, we come across different things. So this scale is specific for color and defects. So بيداء حمراء زرقاء حضراء صفراء ترشاء خرصاء عمياء أرجاء. And for plural we have فعل. The scale is فعل. So that's the root letters. It just the first one gets dhamma and the second one is sukoon and then the last one normal, right? Sudun, sudun, bidun. So here it was. We can't look. We can't have. Can you have something like that? Have you seen anything like that in the Quran or in something or similar? Because the ya and the dhamma doesn't go together, so that's why it becomes bidun. Does it make sense? Because you can't say ba with the dhamma and then ya. You can't. You just won't be able to pronounce it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because after dhamma there's normally vowel, right?
Yeah.
You can't have vowel dhamma and then ya. It just you won't know how to pronounce it. So that's why the ba gets a kasra here. Then humrun, zurqun, khudrun, sufrun, turshun. Humrun is red plural. Zurqun is blue is plural. Khudrun is plural. So plural here is both for. There's no feminine plural. It's just plurals for both. Okay, so it says fu'lun is a triptode, which means it declines normally and used for both genders. So it's for masculine and feminine. So plural is for both masculine and feminine, right? Sufrun is yellow. Turshun is deaf. Many people. Khursun, dumb. Umyun, blind. So summun, umyun, summun, bukmun, umyun, fahum la yarji'un. Like in Quran, in Surah Baqarah, it says deaf, dumb, and blind, right? Umyun is used there. Orjun. Orjun means lame. Another one is ahdabu, humpbacked. I think that's person whose back is arched, like who doesn't have a straight back. Hadba'u hudbun. Okay, so here this what we can do is make a note of that. So he says the feminine of the dual changes hamza into waw. Okay, so originally what was it? Sawda'u, right? So when we do the dual, it becomes so da and that this hamza changes to waw. So dawani. You're not gonna come across that many times to be honest, but we need to learn that. So hamza changes into waw. So dawani. Okay, so pay attention. This is like still the key part, and this is what we know as Ism Tafdeel. So same scale as what we've done before, af'alu, right? Af'alu for masculine, and for feminine, yes, fu'la. So this is used when you want to say, basically it says comparative and superlative. Comparative is basically when you say he is better than you, he is taller, he is so things like he is
Very and most.
better than you, he is taller than you, he is smarter than you. So this is like comparative, you're comparing, right? So you're just saying better than, taller than, shorter, smarter than, and so forth. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So this is what we call comparative. That's
Correct.
what it means comparative. So this scale is used. So if you want to say taller, you say atwalu, atwalu. Tawid, how do you say tall normally? Tawid, right?
Tawid, yeah.
So we just say atwalu, taller. Okay, we'll cover this a bit more detail later. That's what it means. And then superlative is when you say he is the best, he is the tallest, he is the smartest. So it's like we're saying, for example, we have Allahu Akbar, right? In the prayer we say Allahu Akbar. So this is used as superlative, which means Allah is the greatest, right?
Yeah.
So that's why superlative means. Do you understand the difference between comparative and superlative?
No, atwalu, how the superlative form of atwalu?
So what we use for superlative degree?
Tawilu, atwalu, and then superlative will be?
No, it's the same thing, right? With the same scale for both.
Oh, same. Okay.
Yes, but we will know how we tell the difference because it will come in the sentence, right?
Okay.
But I will understand, even the English part, we understand what's the difference between comparative and superlative.
Yes. Okay.
You understand, Afrin?
Yes, sir.
Sadais?
Yes, sir.
You understand, Bakhtiyar? Okay. So the feminine of this is this is not for colors. This is, we're doing superlative and comparative nouns. So the feminine of that is fu'la, right? So kabirun is great, right? Or big. Akbaru is greater or greater than, or like it's masculine, and feminine is going to be kubra. Okay, on scale of fu'la, kubra. Okay, so here it says that
Here Kubra means she is greatest. Yeah.
you could say she is the greatest, or she is greater than. We learn later, because when you say greater than, you use min. Hiya
Min.
kubra min Fatima, or hiya kubra min
Okay.
min Hassan. Like min,
So if
she's
min
older
comes,
or
then
she's
it
greater.
becomes okay. If there is a min, then it's a comparative.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it will be superlative.
Yes, we'll cover this inshallah, like a
Okay.
little later. The way it works is when it's comparative, when you say better than or taller than, you use after that it becomes min,
Min, yeah.
right?
Okay.
And so, for example, if you say huwa atwalu min,
Sadiki.
okay, Siddiqui, or anything, Hasanin, he is taller than Hassan. So here is used as comparative. He is taller than. If you use it as superlative, all you do is you just change the last part. Instead of saying min, you just say, if you want to say he is the tallest boy, you're going to say atwalu waladin. So it becomes like a idafa construction to the thing he is the superlative of. So he is the tallest man. Huwa atwalu waladin. He is the tallest boy. Huwa atwalu rajulin. He is the tallest man, and so forth. Does that make sense, Sadais?
Okay, for superlative, you're going to have izafa construction. Otherwise, for the comparative, you're going to use the word min.
Yes, yes. And I would recommend you guys to, like, because these are the key points of the lesson. So if you have a page, or you should keep a notebook, you should make the key points, because these are to remember. And for feminine, we have fu'la. This exists, right? This form exists, but it says here, in practice, it is only encountered with a few words, except in ancient poetry. So we're not looking at poetry really. So what I'm saying is this, even though it's, we have feminine and masculine, we most of the time you're just gonna encounter masculine. You're not even gonna encounter feminine for this. It's quite rare for la. So normally it's gonna be af'al. The masculine plural, the plural of af'alu. So don't forget, what we've done before, af'alu in colors, it was a bit different, okay? So the scale here is af'alu, for feminine is fa'la'u, and fu'lun is for plural. These is specific for colors and defects. Then we are doing Ism Tafdeel, which is called comparative and superlative. Here, even though the masculine scale is same, af'alu, the feminine scale is different, so is the plural. So it says the masculine plural is afa'ilu. Again, I haven't come across this in books. This is very rare. And that's the feminine plural is fu'layatun. Fu'layatun. And fu'alun. The key here is you remember af'alu. Af'alu is the key. You need to remember that. And probably fu'la as well. The rest is quite rare. Even fu'la is rare. Then he says, yes, but students will have little use of anything but the masculine singular, which is af'alu. Because he says, because this should always be used when the meaning is comparative. So what he's saying is, even if you are saying she's bigger than Fatima, you still should use akbaru, because that's what's used for comparative and superlative normally. Okay, so what he's saying here is, you can say,
Why we will use akbaru?
sorry,
Like here, when we are talking about a woman or a female gender, why we are using akbaru over here?
because it tells you here that even for feminine we use the masculine singular, because it kind of makes life easier for us, to be honest. But I can't give you like a logical reason for it. It's just be something we have to make note of, basically. The only exception is so it's chapter 40, so we're not going to do that. Okay, that's fine. Does it make sense, Afrin?
So it's not making sense, but just it's a rule, we have to accept it.
Yeah, the thing is, why do we have a feminine adjective, but we don't have to use it?
Because it exists, right? And it will be used a bit we learn in chapter 40. So for example, Hazrat Fatima, we say Fatimatul Kubra, right? So for example, it can be used. So if you want to say Al-Bintul Kubra, it means the eldest daughter, right? We could use it like that more often. But as superlative and comparative, because this is not superlative comparative, this is just like this is the adjective of this. We're not saying she's greater than, she's just saying the eldest daughter. It's a different way of writing than superlative or comparative. Is like why we have feminine when we don't use it much, because first of all it exists in the language. Secondly, you know, if you're writing poetry and stuff like that, advanced literature and stuff like that, then you can start using these when it kind of rhymes more, or kind of fits better with the sentence and so forth. But for practical reason, when we use Arabic as students, we don't really use feminine as much. But it exists. Okay. So Akbaru is masculine, Kubra is feminine. It comes from Kabirun. Kabirun, big, right? Kubra means the biggest, or the bigger than. Akbaru means the same. Ashalu means easier, right? Greater, easier. It comes from, and the feminine is Suhla, Fu'la, right? It comes from Sahlun, which means easy. And also for Asbaru means more patient, because we can't say if it's easier, we can't say patienter, so we say more patient. It comes from Saburun, means patient. Ajhalu, more ignorant. Again, we can't put er, so we just say more ignorant. It comes from Jahilun. So here we notice that we just all we do is it's telling you here for Kabirun and Saburun, we take away the additional words. We just look at the root words, which are, what's the root words?
Kabir.
Ka,
Kabara.
kabara, right? We just take the root words, we get rid of the ya, it's not essential, it's not a root word, and we just add alif for masculine, becomes akbaru. Same with saburun. What keywords are? Sabara, right?
Yeah.
So we just add alif, asbaru. So it's saying that if the root has a double constant, which means here the root is jadidun, here the root is double, right? Which means jim, dal, dal. The three root letters, but dal comes twice. So what you can do is you could write that would normally would equal, you would add alif, so it becomes ajdadu. Dadu. But in this case, what you do is it tells you here is you just put the two dals together and make into shadda, so it becomes ajaddu. Ajaddu. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So Qalilu is the same. Qalilun is qaf plus lam becomes aqlalu. Because there's two lam together, we just say aqallu. After, does that make sense? Bakhtiar?
Yes, sir.
Bakhtiar, makes sense? Okay. So when I mentioned before to say better than, we say that we use the word mean, right? So this is like comparative. So smaller than, azgharu min, smaller than, or aqsaru min, shorter than, akbaru min, bigger than, or greater than. So we use the word min. So for example, here I give the example. Hassan is smaller or younger than his sister. Hassanun azgaru min. Min is than, right? So Hassan is smaller or younger than ukhtihi, than his
Sister.
sister. And here, look at this. Is here, it's not kubra, it's akbar. Here, akbaru minhu. Again, min. She is greater or bigger than him. And then again, you look even this here. So this was feminine. We still use akbar. Now this is plural. Al-talamizatu, the students or the pupils mean the same thing. At-talamizatu ajhalu, are more ignorant min ikhwanihim, than their brothers fi madrasat al-Qahirati, in the Cairo school, or in the school of Cairo. So again here ajhalu is used, and min means then. So more ignorant than, more patient than. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. After it makes sense?
So
Okay. Okay. Also, al-muallimatu ajaddu. So it would have been ajdadu. But we mentioned earlier that it becomes ajaddu because both have the same, the root letter, second and third root letter are the same, so it becomes ajaddu. Al-muallimatu, again, is feminine plural. We just use masculine singular here, ajaddu. Min al-muallimina. The school mistress are newer, ajaddu. Jadid means new, ajaddu means newer than min al-muallimina, from schoolmasters. Al-muallimatu, school mistress, female teachers are newer than the male teachers, right? This is comparative. So we said better than, greater than, smarter than. In the superlative, I said the next word is, there's not going to be no min. It's just we're going to have the word, and then we're going to have genitive, a mudaf ilayhi. Nice, idafa, yes. So here, huwa akbaru rajulin fil madinati. He is the greatest man. Could be an oldest man as well in the city. Huwa rajulu al akbaru fil madinati. Oh, sorry. He's saying is we say that instead of saying huwa ar rajulu akbaru min. Instead of saying this, we use huwa akbaru rajulin fil madinati. He is the greatest man. So akbaru is the superlative, greater than, greater, and so we don't have min, so it doesn't mean greater than. We just have the next noun as mudaf ilayhi. He is the greatest man fil madinati, in the city.
how
Sorry, one friend. Your question?
So
nothing?
Nothing. Okay.
instead of ar-rajulu al-akbaru, ar-rajulu al-akbaru means he, huwa ar-rajulu akbaru means he is the great man. He is the great man.
No,
But
he
if
still,
we have huwa
yeah.
akbaru ar-rajulin, then if there is a genitive, then it becomes a superlative. So that's how we have to understand.
Okay, so for here, what I'm saying is that here, this is normally you say it. Like, it tells you here, if you want to say huwa ar-rajulul akbaru, akbaru still mean greater than, or it will still mean the same thing. So he would mean he is the greatest man in the city. He says it's permissible, but that's not how you normally say. You normally use this.
Oh.
So if you say huwa ar-rajulul akbaru, it still means he is the greatest man. He says it's permissible, but
So
that's.
can we just say that if we are uh,
Say it again. Breaking up. And
So,
yes,
the first sentence we'll write down if we are asked to in a superlative degree, right?
the first sentence is what? Sorry.
Because both the sentences have the same meaning, right?
Yes.
Same meaning, correct? We just the first sentence if we are asked to do the interrogative.
Okay, you're breaking up. I can't hear you. Just write the question. But the way the first one is common, and it's what we're gonna use. So if when you do the exercises, if people write the first one, this form, if the answer will be correct. If you write this form, I may mark it wrong because we are covering superlative and comparative, and we need to know how to write this structure. But I couldn't hear you properly.
No,
Sorry.
no. What if we like he is the great man in the city?
Yeah.
Instead of superlative, we just say he is the great man. We don't need to say he is the greatest man. Then if it is like if we have to say if he is the great man in the city, then it can be the second one, right?
You just say he's a great man. You just say huwa al-rajulu al-kabiru.
Yeah. So
No,
then
no,
it is like a meaning the second, right?
no, not
He
second
is
one.
the great
Second
man.
second one is superlative. If you just want to say, you will say huwa. Uh, what do you say? He's a great
He
man.
is the great man. He is
Oh,
the great man in the city.
so it will be a rajulu
Al-Kabiru.
al-kabiru, because kabir means great, right? So
Yeah,
he is the great man.
correct.
But as soon as you write akbar, it means greater
Ah, okay.
or
The difference
greatest.
is here. Okay, okay.
But sir, in the second sentence construction, na, both the sentences have al.
In the second sentence,
That's the adjective. Like they're making.
yeah, here
Yes, al kabiru is the adjective used for al rajulu, but there is no izafa construction, na ma'am.
yes. So what?
And you said that superlative degree promote this izafa construction, right?
Yes, yes. So
Hmm.
what I'm saying, the first one, look, the first one is superlative. The second one, what the author is saying to you is, if you, instead of writing superlative, you can possibly also write like a normal. Instead of having this, you could write it as like a noun and adjective, because here is a dafa. You could write it as noun and adjective. So you could make a rajulu noun, and the greatest as al akbaru as adjective. But what he's saying to you is that's not the normal way of doing it. Normal way is this. So sorry, I can't hear you. So I don't know what your question is.
She's trying to ask the second question. There is no idafa construction. It's just simple adjective.
Yes.
She was asking as for the superlative, we have to use the idafa construction. So I think she was just asking it. The first one is correct because it's idafa construction, and the second one is just a simple adjective form. So it's better not.
Okay.
It's permissible, but not use it.
Not use this very often. Yes, you could use both. Yes.